Manchester United, the English soccer club, here just with a single image, whereas Coke used a few different images, Manchester United with a single image just sort of captures the the glory of this team and what it means to be a Man U fan. Again, they've got some of their most prominent things here. The videos is big for them, so they've got that prominently marked. And again, down the side, you can see all the history that they've added in to their page. And here is an example. So Manchester United added this post to 1908. They were the 1908 league champions, and they've included a great picture of that tournament. And so that's just a lot of fun. And this is actually a photo album that they posted. So you can see here there are a few other photos. And so it's something they've posted, and then they've dated it June 15th, 1908, so that it falls into that part of their timeline. Ben and Jerry's similarly, did a great thing in talking about flavors that they added back in 1999 with a great shot of that. And here you can sort of see the expanded timeline here where you can view the 1990s. So again, another way of sort of backdating your Facebook page so that you can people can see what you've done. Magnolia Bakery, which is a bakery in Manhattan, is doing a great job of showing off what it does best, which is create these incredibly yummy looking desserts. So this is another great way, great thing they've done here, which is to show off their products and their services, which is to feed you well. And so that's something that you might do on your timeline cover page or cover image. And then this one was literally, I was on Facebook literally 20 minutes before this webinar, and notice this showed up in my Facebook ticker. Old Spice has just added this this item to 1945 on their timeline, and I won't read it out loud, but you can read it to yourself and you can laugh. It's pretty funny. So anyway, I just thought that was too funny not to mess up. So clearly, some companies who have branded themselves around having a lot of personality and having a lot of fun are having a good time with the possibilities for timeline as well. So I want to share some takeaways with you about sort of what this is going to mean for you in terms of your transition over to the timeline for company pages, and I've got 8 of these today. First of all, just realize that in general, timeline provides a really good opportunity to get your message out there in a visual way. You can see that there's just lots and lots of imagery with the new timeline, from the cover photo to your profile image to the large way that they display pictures and video on the timeline. And so it's just it really does let you tell your story in a really graphical and interesting way. So number 2 then is the most important thing that you can do for this timeline transition is to get your cover photo ready. Your page won't look horrible if you don't have a cover photo. It will just look very plain, and people will be able to see that you haven't been able to give the time to that yet. We are in the process right now of helping a lot of our clients come up with some cool timeline photos to put on their pages. Obviously, we're going to be doing it for ourselves as well. And so that's something, if you need any help with that or any advice around that, let us know. I can tell you, if you want to grab your pencils, the dimensions of that timeline photo are about 850 pixels wide by 315 tall. It's 850 wide by 315 tall. So in case you're planning on handling that yourself. And an important thing to know is to think of your cover photo really as image and branding space, and not so much as advertising space. It's not a place where you should be, posting a big thing about your current sale or your current promotion. You could use it that way, but that's really not the intention of a timeline photo. And I think Facebook users are familiar enough with timeline now that they know that it's really about helping you sort of build your image. And so for many of our companies, to clients who are on the call, who are local service providers of one sort or another, pictures of your local area, or pictures of your staff or local who are using your services. These sorts of things that reinforce who you are and your local feel are really going to serve you better in the long run than pasting up a big banner ad about what's going on that month. That, I would say, would be more appropriate to the sorts of things, the stories and things like that you can pin to the top. Number 4, then, your profile photo is still extremely important. So don't sort of neglect that. Don't forget about that in the excitement around the cover photo. Your profile photo is still going to be showing up as a fairly large-looking square, sort of embedded into that cover photo, and it's also going to be the photo that everyone sees whenever you show up in their news feed or when they see your posts in places that are not on your page. So people are only going to see your timeline cover image when they're visiting your company page itself, but your profile photo is still going to be shown in their news feed and everywhere else on Facebook that you might appear. So number 5 is consider custom apps that you can promote or reconfigure some of your old tabs. This is a time, since you've got this new ability to pin certain applications to the very top of your timeline in almost sort of a navigation kind of thing. This is a good time to think about adding a custom Facebook tab that really can do just about whatever you want it to do. It's basically like a website sort of embedded within Facebook. In fact, that's exactly what it is, because Facebook uses iframes for those custom tabs. The custom tabs, also, a good thing to know is that they, in the past, they've been somewhat narrow. They've been sort of, just over half, I would say, of the overall Facebook page. But with their new custom apps, with the timeline, they've widened that out significantly. It's something like, it's a little over 800 pixels wide, I think. So they're really giving companies more space to play around with custom applications. So there's going to be more you can do and show there. So just think about doing that and adding those applications into that top navigation within the timeline. And whatever you do, whether you add a custom application or not, make sure that you go into your timeline and do customize what's showing up there. So if you have lots of videos that you want to promote, or if you have notes, if you sort of blog primarily through Facebook, make sure your notes are one of those primary boxes. Just whatever is important to you, make sure you spend a little time setting that up correctly. Pin your most important news to the top. Again, I think it's great that Facebook has added this ability to pin certain posts of yours to the top and have them be up there for as long as a week. That, I think, is the space where you might consider putting in things about your current promotion. It's less obtrusive than if it were the timeline cover photo, but it's still something where you can sort of just highlight something. Certainly if you have company news or something that's going to be important or significant for a while, pinning that to the top is going to be a really nice thing to be able to do. Be aware of the private messages feature. Just know that that's a new way that people are going to be able to connect with you and to send you any comments or feedback or things like that. Again, I think it's going to really help companies with customer service, but just make sure you know it's there and that it's something you can use. And then my last takeaway is, this is the biggest benefit of Timeline, I think, is just that you can tell your company's story, and you can really, really have a chance to brand yourself in a unique way and sort of talk about the things that have happened and the direction that you're going. I say fill in your past history, the interesting bits. You don't need to, fill in every last little detail about everything that's happened. But to put in the founding of your company and put in some pictures of of what the founding looked like or what it looked like back then. You know, if you had new buildings that were built or new functionality that was added or services or products that were added, to be able to talk about those kinds of things and tell them and do those things not just with text updates, but do it in an interesting way with photos and graphics and things like that. It really does offer a great chance for people to you know, see where you've been and what you've done. And as you saw from that Old Spice, well, two things I'll say about that Old Spice example that I showed you. Be willing to have some fun with it. I think it's great to be able to do that, especially if that's sort of part of the feel of your company. But the other thing to take away from that is just to notice that when you do add in parts of your backstory, so when you add in something from 1973, that goes into people's ticker and their news feed, so people will actually be able to see that you're doing that updating. And that's going to help also create some interest. So you might even think about doing it over time, rather than sitting down in one intense 4-hour session and adding everything about your company at once. You might, you know, add a detail at a time, or a detail each day or each week or something that sort of, you know, lets people notice it as it's happening and going by and say, oh, I didn't realize that. So anyway, just some thoughts there about how you tell your story. So that's all I have now. I do see a couple of questions. One of the questions was going back and whether I recommend going back and adding past events. So clearly that question was asked before I just said that last point there. I do actually think it is a good idea to go back and add in your past events, again, if it's the interesting ones. A question about how often should we change our cover photo. I think that's a really great question, and you know, I think, I guess my wisdom on that would be, you know, don't worry about changing it super often, especially because, well, let me say this. I think it's much more important that you have a good cover photo and one that really captures you well and looks intriguing than that your cover photo is updated regularly. It's great if you have design people in-house, or if you want to, you know, have some help with us on that in terms of having regular cover photos that switch out every month or so. You know, I think that would be great to do. You could certainly do seasonal things with your cover photo that would be interesting. But I do think most important of all, you want to make sure that you have some quality imagery up there to help position your company and tell the story of who you are. I do think that sort of trumps changing it regularly. So yeah, I hope that helps. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you very much for your time and attention. 2 weeks from today, Friday, March 30th, I'm going to be talking about Facebook ads revisited, and so I will talk about those as well. Oh, and I'm sorry, there are a couple other questions that have just come in, so let me address those. Somebody said, can we update this today, or do we need to wait till it changes on March 30th? No, you can absolutely do it today. And in fact, I just in the last week have taken a couple of our clients' pages live with the new timeline as we've created cover photos for them. So yes, you can absolutely go and make it live today. And many companies, all those examples I showed you, Manchester United, Coke, Magnolia Bakery, those are all companies that have already done it. So yes, you can go turn it on this second if you want to. There's another question. It says, it appears that the material available in the top bar varies by organization type. For instance, some will show a map and others not. Again, that is something where you can customize that. So if you've set a location within the information for your page, if you've set a particular actual street address for your company, then the map should be one that's available to you to post to the top there. But you may not choose to do that. You know, so you may have multiple locations and don't want a single map pinned to the top. So it just varies on what you want, but you should be able to set those within the settings for the page, be able to go in and set which options you want to have displaying there. So I hope that helps. So anyway, again, thank you for your time. We'll be doing this again 2 weeks from now. Facebook ads revisited, because there have been enough changes to Facebook ads that I want to talk more about what you can do these days and what those changes have been. And Dave Newstroughton's Straight Talk on Telco Marketing webinar for our telecommunications clients. That will be Wednesday the 28th at 11 o'clock Pacific also. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope you all get some decent weather. Remember to keep your media social and your talk straight.